he gets my 3 stars, and I think him staying fit between now and the end of the season is going to be huge for Newcastle, just because of that variety to his play that he brings and injecting something that the midfield for me badly needs. Well, hello again from here inside St James's Park. Now, I walked up and down on Saturday night this exact same patch of Milburn stand and told you how Newcastle's substitutes had come from the bench to change the game in their favour. Well, the bench has cost them 2 points here tonight, and yes, we can look at the mistake of Paul Dummett in conceding the penalty, and we'll come to that, but I mean more so the inability to change. On Saturday, I spoke before the game. I did a little voice note for our WhatsApp community, link in the description below if you want to join that, by the way, and I said I'd looked at the team sheet for the first time in a long time and thought there was real weaponry there in terms of being able to bring on players who can impact the game, and more so than ever now, perhaps in the history of football, it's not 11 players who win a game, it is 14, 15, 16. We saw that on Saturday by the introduction of Harvey Barnes, Elliot Anderson and Lewis Hall. Those 3 were tremendous. Anderson was brilliant. Harvey Barnes gets the 2 goals. Lewis Hall has his best game in a black and white shirt. Now, 3 days later, they're all starters, and they weren't promoted as reward as much as that would have been deserved. They were promoted to the starting 11 because of necessity, because 3 more injuries have been confirmed in the last 72 hours, and we'll get to the severity of them. So what the knock-on effect is you come to tonight and you look at the starting 11 before the game, and you think, okay, it's not the best, but there's enough to put in a good performance, enough to beat Everton there. But then you looked at the bench in for our WhatsApp community again beforehand. I flagged on the pre-match voice note that the bench worried me from a Newcastle perspective. I didn't think there was enough scope there to change things in their favour, and so it proved. Paul Dummett has had to come on for only his second, and we'll cut to this now because this is the moment that changes the course of the result. Ultimately, the one definite moment, even though I think there are lots of others which contribute to it. Paul Dummett comes on for only his second Premier League appearance in 2 years, and it's at the goal there. It's in the 88th minute. Newcastle are leading 1-0. I think by that point they are starting to crawl a little bit towards the finish line, and the contrast I'll make is Everton made a treble change on the hour, a really positive treble change, bringing on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, James Garner and Andres Gomez. 3 good players. Newcastle couldn't do that. Now, the cross comes in, and Dummett, it's one of those where I just think he's scared of being the player almost. There's a fear there, and he's panicked to a degree. He's scared of being the player who makes the mistake, who costs his team those 2 points. In having that fear, in having that rustiness, he has made the mistake that costs his team 2 points. It's a definite penalty. I must admit, I missed it in real time. Sean Dyche has just said to us downstairs there, he doesn't know how the referee missed it first time around. Well, I do, because I was watching it and I didn't see it. And why didn't I see it? Because the ball was nowhere near them. He didn't have to make the foul, and that is the frustration for Newcastle. The fact that we missed it because the ball was floating over. It wasn't the best cross in the world, and Martin Dubravka claims it easily, starts play. Then when it's pulled back for a VAR review, I'm sat in the press box, and I've spoken to you about this so many times before. When you're in rewrite territory, the last thing we need is an 88th minute goal. And I'm thinking, looking at the replay at the monitor, I'm thinking, I'm saying to my colleagues, what's this for? There's been no infringement. Why are they having a VAR review? You then see the penalty, and wow, it's a penalty. Come on, he puts his arms around him, wrestles him. Eddie Howe just said he thought it was one of those, could go either way. I agree with a lot of what Eddie says, and I'll come to what he said about the substitutions in just a moment, but I must say, I thought this was a penalty. And from that, Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores his goal for the first time in 23 matches. At an insult to injury, a player who hasn't scored since October steps over the penalty and puts it through Dubravka. Now, was that a fair outcome? I thought on the balance of the way the second half played out, just about, yes, even though I thought Newcastle were the better team for the majority, and we'll go back, we'll revisit the game. I thought they started well. I thought they started brilliantly. It was so noisy inside here. Was that a continuation of the field goal from Saturday, or was it because Jordan Pickford was in goal for Everton? I think more so the latter, but nonetheless, every time Jordan Pickford plays here, it's an incendiary presence, and it stokes the home crowd, and you're guaranteed a good night. Now, Pickford actually makes a brilliant save inside the first opening 2 minutes. I think it's Isak works the ball to Barnes. It's a brilliant block from the keeper, but that set the tone. You could just feel there was a good night to be had for Newcastle, and Elliot Anderson was tremendous. I thought more than any other player he picked up where he left off on Saturday. I thought he had the physicality, the skill. He's a force of nature type player at times. There was times he was blocking balls. He didn't have any, just simple things like, the Anthony Gordon rule I've spoken about before, where you chase down a fullback and, yes, it's at the expense of a throw-in, but it just seems to raise the crowd and raise your teammates. I thought Anderson started really well. He set the tone, and Newcastle eventually get what is an inevitable lead, really, it felt like, in the 15th minute. And if Newcastle are looking at Jared Branthwaite as a potential option for this summer in terms of solving their crisis at centre-half, well, Alexander Isak did them a favour. He shaved £5 to £10 million off the value of Branthwaite by scoring that opening goal just over a shoulder there. Yeah, it's Barnes' little ball over the top. There's still loads of work to do for Isak as he goes into the area. He sits Branthwaite down on the mat as if putting a kid on the carpet for story time, and that was, it was a schooling. He's walked around him and put it in the bottom corner past Pickford. And from then on, like I say, you're crafting these match reports during the course of a night, a live game, and you really are having to commit in tone to what you think is going to happen quite early with some of it. And I thought from that point on, I thought Newcastle would go on to win, but I always believed they would need the second goal. Eddie Howe just echoed that downstairs there. And why did I think that? Because I knew that perhaps didn't have the options to see out slender sort of advantage from the bench, and so it proved. But nonetheless, they continue to play well. I think come the hour, Everton have only had one shot on target, but Newcastle they've missed chances as well. Isak had a good chance at 1-0, what's cleared from the line by Mikalenko. Harvey Barnes slams one wide. Jordan Pickford, to be fair to him, I thought he had a good game tonight. He's made a good save from Bruno Guimaraes, and the more it went on, the more you just suspected that it might come back to haunt them. They just started to lose control, and when Eddie looked at his bench, was there anything there to change it? Well, Anderson's race was run. After an hour, he had to take off one of his better players who was having a good game. He'd started to fade. That's understandable. It's Anderson's first start in 6 months. Don't forget that out there tonight. Joe Willock comes on. You can see, okay, that's a good change, but Willock, we know, isn't the same player as what Joe Willock is and should be. Really, Willock comes on, he does okay, but it's not a Joe Willock at full throttle, really. Then the other changes, it's unfortunate. Lewis Hall, Eddie's just said to us there, it was fatigue, but he'd taken 1 or 2 knocks. He just couldn't go on. Another player making only his second Premier League start, he's got to come off. And can you argue, should Alex Murphy have come on? Well, he's just a kid. Matt Ritchie have come on. You're bringing on a specialist left back in Paul Dummett to help see out the lead. But as I said there was just something about Paul's body language where I'm reluctant to criticise Dummett because he is thrown into a difficult situation to a degree, but it is a mistake. It is something he doesn't have to do as well. I've said, that is the frustration. The ball was floating into Martin Dubravka's arms, and that is the moment that has cost ultimately Newcastle the 2 points. But more so than that, it was just that inability to make any of the changes, be that defensive or be that attacking. Because for me, if Newcastle are going to, on the evidence of this season and what this team is and what this team isn't, if they're going to go and win a game like that, it's not about sitting back and defending the lead. It's about going on the front foot and going and getting another goal. And they just didn't have a Harvey Barnes to bring on to do that. They didn't have an Elliot Anderson to bring on to do that. There wasn't a Callum Wilson there to bring on even, for Alexander Isak. Also didn't have that reinforcement. And that just captures really. And I'm almost glad that the 2 games have come so close together, West Ham and Everton. It just shines a light on, and you may say that I stick up for Eddie too much, but there's huge mitigation in terms of the impact the injuries has had on results this season for Newcastle and how badly they have struggled. The stats are there to back it up, how poor they have been in the final 15, 20 minutes going into injury time of matches. The amount of goals they've conceded late on is quite staggering, really, and that is because they haven't had the personnel from the bench. The squad runs shallow and, the quality runs out really quickly, and that is because of the injuries and the absentees, the suspension tonight. Tonali missing suspension as ever. Gordon missing tonight. If you've got Gordon and Barnes there tonight, Barnes can come on and help carry the team over the line. So no, I do have some sympathy, and Eddie touched on that afterwards. He said the bench didn't allow, it affected the team's performance in the second half, and I would go along that because I thought what went before I thought was good enough to win the game. I really do, and I thought there was some good performances out there, which brings us on to, before we get to the news, we'll do the merit stars now. It's a player I've already touched on. Actually, I was going to give 3 there. No, we like to do this in ascending order, don't we? The suspense as well, and increases the view time, which YouTube does like. So, yeah, the 1 star, well, that goes to, you might think this is harsh. I thought you had a very good game. That 1 star is the tractor nearly collides with one of the groundsmen there. That should have been that would have been great video. Would have done better numbers. But no, the 1 star goes to Bruno Guimaraes. I thought he had a very good game tonight. I thought he was a leader in the middle of the park. His form has been good of late. You know, we've spoken previously about him having good games, bad games, sometimes looking a little bit out of shape. He's looked in good nick for a little while now, and I thought Bruno, especially in the second half there, he's played in midfield by himself too much recently. I think, you know, he's carried a lot of that burden of responsibility in the middle of the park. He did so again there tonight, even though I thought he had more help. But I thought Bruno had a good game. 2 stars, well, that goes to Alexander Isak. As I said, you know, shaving that value off Jared Branthwaite was very handy, but it's a brilliant goal. And Eddie Howe said to us a couple of days ago that they won't listen to offers for Isak this summer. Well, they might need ear defenders if he continues to play like that, because there will be interest, you know. Someone said to me after Saturday, "Oh, you're quiet about Isak now, he scored 2 goals. Well, no, come on, that misses the point that I've always made about Isak. My complaint about him has never been ability. In fact, it's been the very opposite. It's been the frustration over his, not ability, his availability in given a run of games. You know, he's still got to prove this now. You know, this is a run now of 6-7 matches without injury. He's in a good place form-wise. He seems in a better place now fitness-wise. He's seen out his 90 minutes better than he was. But, you know, let's see this over a season. The very best, you know, the top strikers, don't forget, you know, they go week on week on week and month on month on month, really, and season on season on season. He's actually still got that little bit to prove. But in terms of him, the player, well, wow, he's fantastic. Come on, this is... Yeah, he really is top quality. I've called him, you know, he really is Champions League pedigree, and he showed that again there tonight. So in a roundabout way, Alexander Isak 2 stars. And the 3 stars, I don't know whether you might disagree with this, given he only played 69, 70 minutes, but I'm going to give it to Elliot Anderson. I just thought, touched on this before in terms of him setting the tone, I thought he was fantastic. I just think he brings, he's got a bit of everything, you know. He's got the energy, he's got the aggression, he's got a skill set no other player has got in the Newcastle team. I think the way he manipulates that ball, and he chops one way and chops the others. You know, defenders don't know which way he's going to go. He's positive. He was running around tonight like a captain, almost like a man possessed at times. I thought Anderson was very good, and for that reason, and given the context of it being his first start in 6 months, he gets my 3 stars. And I think him staying fit between now and the end of the season is going to be huge for Newcastle, just because of that variety to his play that he brings, and injecting something that the midfield for me badly needs. Now, the newsy elements to tonight, you've got to come back to the injuries. 3 more confirmed since Saturday. Jamal Lascelles, 6 to 9 month ACL, 2 ACLs for defenders in the scope of a week. Eddie's just said to us downstairs that will change their thinking for the summer. How can it not in terms of transfers? Then we've got Miguel Almiron and Tino Livramento. Tino Livramento an ankle, Miguel Almiron a knee. They're both looking at around a month out. It'll be early May before we see them. Again, you know, Livramento, just when you think he's going to get a run in the team because of Kieran Trippier's absence, he is now looking at, you know, 4 weeks out as well. Then Trippier, that brings us on to him now. He was due back potentially tonight. Eddie has just said that he'll definitely be out on Saturday against Fulham. You know, he's just not ready to play yet. My information is that it's going to take another couple of weeks yet. You're probably looking more towards the end of the month, around the time of Crystal Palace. So, without Livramento, without Trippier, you're looking at a situation whereby the team are going forward with Emil Kraft at right back, who, you know, for all, there's a lot to admire about Emil Kraft. He is not Tino Livramento and he's not Kieran Trippier. That is potentially a point of weakness over time, just as you would look to the opposite flank where, you know, still Matt Targett is missing. Dan Burn now is having to come into centre half. Livramento isn't there to play left back. Trippier isn't there to play left back. And Lewis Hall, a player who 4 or 5 weeks ago just couldn't get off the bench. He now is probably looking at a run in the team if he's come out with tonight or today, because like I say, he took a little bit of a knock there in the first half and needed treatment. So it's never ending, and just when you think, you know, the game on Saturday might just be that turning point, and I think it was, in terms of mood and atmosphere and everything else around the place, the injuries will continue to hold them back, will continue to hinder them, and it's got the point a long time ago. Come on, we've spoken about this so much, you know, it's not bad luck now. Something seriously needs to be looked at in terms of the number of injuries which are occurring and reoccurring. And can you say ACLs are bad luck? I've heard a few people say that. I don't know, are ACLs bad luck? You've got 2 in the space of a week, certainly the Sven Botman one. that isn't bad luck. That was an error of judgment on behalf of whoever it may be that put them in that situation. So yeah, what's to say the injury situation won't get worse before it gets better, even within the remaining 8 matches of this season? I don't know. And they go down to Fulham now, and again, I wrote in my copy, it's not just the bare bones, they're clinging to the marrow now. They really are that depleted, evidenced by that bench there tonight, which included 2 goalkeepers and a player in Amadou Diallo, who's actually been released. He's been told he's being let go next month, and he's got to be on the one last thing before you go, Amadou. Can you go and sit on the bench? And that is the situation they're in now. So I thought Eddie, when he come to reflect with us, was fair in that he said there was a lot to like about the performance, but he just didn't have the scope to impact as he would have liked from the bench. And that, for me, just about sums up Newcastle's night here this evening. Now, like I say, it is on to Fulham. I won't be there. I'll actually be at the San Siro next Saturday. I might bring you a little video update on my X account from there. Yeah, I'm taking my 3 boys over to Italy. The San Siro, will they knock it down? Won't they knock it down? I'm not willing to take the chance. Let's go and get there before that decision is made. So yeah, Milan Lecce on Saturday, and Verona's actually playing on Sunday night as well. We're not staying too far from there. My wife doesn't know this yet, but I have scope tickets for that as well. So a football holiday, why not? Busman's holiday, if you like. But no, it's all good fun. So any of you guys are travelling down to Fulham, this may be my last video before then. Please, always a good away trip, Fulham. I'm actually gutted to be missing it. I do really enjoy going to Craven Cottage. So yeah, guys, take care. Loads of content below the line on this. Like I say, join that WhatsApp community. Please click through to my match report and the ratings and all the rest of it from tonight. So thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, take care. Bye bye.